There are moments in life when the waiting seems endless, when the years stretch on like a horizon that never quite reaches the sky. My name is Anna, and I have lived many such years, decades spent in quiet devotion and hopeful anticipation. I am old now, a widow, one who has dedicated her life to the temple, to prayer, and to the longing for the Messiah promised so long ago. From my youth, I have known the scriptures by heart, the ancient words of promise whispered through generations. The Savior would come. He would redeem Israel. He would bring light to the darkness. Yet for so many years, he did not come. I have prayed in the temple courts when no one else was awake, fasted in silence, and clung to hope even when my heart felt weak. I remember my husband well, strong and faithful, a partner who loved God deeply. Together we dreamed of a family, raising children to serve the Lord. But death came early and I was left alone. Some might have despaired, but I devoted myself fully to the temple, to service, to waiting with an open heart. Many nights I sat by flickering lamps in the temple, the cold stones beneath me, lifting my prayers to heaven. I asked God, how much longer must I wait? Will I see the day you promised? Will I witness Israel's salvation in my lifetime? Sometimes the answers came only in tears, silent, hot drops tracing the lines of age on my face. Loneliness was a heavy weight. I watched young mothers cradle their children, families gather in joy. I longed for the innocence and hope of new life, but more than that, to see the promise fulfilled. Sometimes I questioned if my faith was enough, if my prayers were heard. Yet faith is not merely belief, it is trust that holds firm even in darkness. And so I waited. Each day I moved through the temple courts like a shadow, my presence known but often unnoticed. Younger priests hurried past, focused on their duties. Yet I stayed, steadfast in worship, supplication, and hope. Then one day, as the temple thrummed with life, a young couple entered carrying a small child wrapped in humble cloth. Their eyes shone with reverence and joy. When they approached the altar to present their child, my heart skipped, sensing something extraordinary. The moment I laid eyes on the child, I knew. The spirit within me stirred with fierce, uncontainable joy. This was the fulfillment of all I had waited for. The promised Messiah, the light Israel had yearned for. Tears spilled down my cheeks as I spoke, my voice trembling with awe. This child is the salvation of Israel. I have seen him with my own eyes. The years of waiting, the nights of sorrow, the prayers whispered in silence, all melted into a flood of praise and thanksgiving. The temple was my home and sanctuary for so many years. Its ancient stones held my prayers, hopes, and tears. I was never alone in that vast, sacred place, even when the world outside felt cold and distant. The prayers of the faithful had woven through its halls for generations, and I, Anna, was one of its humble servants, an old prophetess, keeper of the flame of faith. Each day, as the sun cast golden light through the high windows, I prayed not only for myself, but for all Israel. I prayed for the promised Redeemer, for peace to come to our troubled land, for broken hearts to be healed. And still I waited. Sometimes I wondered if I was forgotten. My body grew frail, my steps slower, and I was aware my years were many. Friends passed on, younger priests took my place, and the world moved forward while I remained, patient, often weary. Yet in my heart, the fire of hope never died. Brief flashes of light in the long night, a child's laughter, a song of praise, reminded me God's promises were alive. The night before I saw him, I barely slept. Kneeling before the altar, hands trembling, I asked God to reveal his salvation, to let me witness the dawn of a new age. I was old, yes, but my spirit restless, eager to see the covenant fulfilled. When morning came, the temple buzzed with pilgrims and worshipers. I moved slowly, eyes searching, heart open. Then I saw them, a humble, radiant young couple carrying a tiny child wrapped in swaddling clothes. Something about them quieted the noise, a calm settling deep into my bones. As they approached the altar, the room seemed to hold its breath. I stepped forward, guided not by sight alone, but by the Spirit surging within me like a river breaking through a dam. I took the child gently into my arms, small and fragile, yet I felt the weight of the world in his presence. The years of waiting, loneliness, longing, all culminated in this moment of profound recognition. "This is the one," I whispered, tears flowing freely, "the salvation of Israel." Joy unlike any I had known filled me, touching every corner of my soul. I praised God aloud, thanking him for his faithfulness, mercy, and the gift of this child who would bring light to a dark world. Holding him, I remembered the stories I heard as a child, the prophecies of Isaiah, promises to David, hope of a Messiah to come and set us free. It was all true. In that sacred moment, I felt history's weight and the promise of the future converge. I was a witness, a servant, a prophetess called to testify to God's faithfulness. After releasing the child to his parents, I turned heavenward and prayed with all my strength. "Let me depart in peace, for my eyes have seen your salvation." This was the culmination of a lifetime of waiting, never wasted, never forgotten. Even now, when I reflect quietly, I feel the ripple of that day, the peace settling over my soul, the certainty that God's timing is perfect. I want every person who hears my story to know, no matter the weight, weariness, or doubts, God is faithful. He sees you. He hears your prayers. When the time is right, he will reveal his salvation. Hold on to hope. Nurture your faith. Keep your heart open to God's unexpected ways. Your waiting is not in vain. After that miraculous moment, my days changed. The world around me continued its rhythms, seasons turned, and the faithful came and went. But inside me, a new song took root, a song of praise, hope renewed, awe at the wonder I witnessed. The child I held, so small, pure, was the promise made flesh. My heart overflowed with gratitude and responsibility. Though my body was weak, my spirit was called to be a living testament. Sometimes, resting by the temple walls, I thought about years spent in prayer and fasting, nights of tears and shadows. Was the long wait preparation for this moment? I believed so. The Lord shaped my heart, teaching patience and faith, refining me like silver in fire. I felt tenderness for future generations, a longing they might know God's love without decades of waiting. Yet I understood waiting was sacred. In waiting, faith is forged, hope nurtured, and the soul softened to receive God's greatest blessings. People asked me, "Anna, how do you know this child is the Savior?" My answer is simple, but deep. It was the Spirit within me, a quiet certainty beyond words. I had seen God's promise. I had held it close. I also knew this child's path would not be easy. There would be opposition, misunderstanding, suffering, but I believed in his mission with all my being. I prayed for his protection, strength, and for all who would know him. In solitude, I reflected on life's fragility and God's power to work through weakness. I, an old woman chosen to witness salvation's dawn, am proof that God's plans defy human expectations. To those who feel forgotten, invisible, or too old to dream, I say, do not lose heart. God's timing is perfect. Your place in his story is important. Your faithfulness in quiet seasons prepares you for the glory to come. The days after that encounter were filled with quiet joy no words can express. Every prayer, every moment of waiting was a thread in God's unfolding plan. Looking back, I see waiting is not wasted time. It is sacred, time when God's Spirit moves silently, shaping hearts and preparing the world for miracles. So if you find yourself in a season of waiting, whether for healing, a dream fulfilled, or peace, remember my story. Let it remind you your prayers are heard, your faith matters, and God is working in unseen ways. Hold fast to hope. Trust divine timing beyond understanding. When your moment comes, embrace it with joy, knowing every tear, prayer, and moment of waiting led you there. Thank you for listening. May my story encourage you to keep believing, hoping, trusting. God's salvation comes, and it is worth every moment of waiting.